Hi, and welcome back to Pinky Boo Hauntings. I'm your witchy host, Chai, and I'll be your guide to all things paranormal, weird, and spooky. Before we start this episode, I was just wondering, how are we all doing? We're getting deep into the holiday season, especially if you work retail. And if you live in the US, Thanksgiving is coming up next week. Then we're fully into Christmas. Or should I say Mariah Carey season? I wrote that before her weird commercial, by the way, so never mind. She has no claim on the season anymore. Either way, this could be the best time or the worst time of the year, depending on who your family is. But I think we all can admit, no matter how we feel about this time of year, it can get super busy and it can become very stressful. So, why don't you come, take a moment to relax, and forget your troubles? And what better way to forget your troubles than to listen to some scary stories, right? Our first tale is my grandmother's house is haunted. I gaslit myself into believing it wasn't. My grandmother bought a house in the 1950s with her husband. I refuse to call him Grandpa because he was an evil man. The house is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath home. Smaller city, quiet, and not a lot of crime. My dad and his siblings were raised there, and I spent a lot of my childhood being raised in that home. My grandma's husband was an alcoholic and an abusive man until he died. He died in that house when I was about 7 or 8 years old. The house itself is plain and unassuming. Inside, it's creepy. As an adult, I always avoided the bedrooms or the hallway that led to them. Whenever I walk down the hallway, I feel a presence looking at me, and I'm terrified to look behind me. My first experience in this house, I was 15 to 16 and had stayed in my grandma's house after a football game. Her house was closer, so I just stayed the night with her. My grandma always got up really early in the morning, so when I woke up, she wasn't in her room and she was already in other parts of the house. I decided to get up and get ready to hang out with my friends and then go home. I showered and changed, and I decided to use the big mirror at the end of the hallway to put on makeup and style my hair. I was almost finished when I heard something in the guest room that I had slept in. It sounded like someone moved the bed. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I felt like I knew already what it was. That I shouldn't look. Girl, you better not. Trust your gut. I shook my head and told myself it was nothing. Again, a few moments later, I heard it. This time, it sounded like someone jumped on the bed. I could hear the wheeled frame under the bed move and the creaking of the box springs. I opened the door and didn't see anything. The bed wasn't moving. It was quiet. Then I saw what looked like footprints on the bed. I got my things together and left. I didn't spend another night there alone. Listen, I've gotten braver over the years, and even I would have been scared by that at first. So I definitely don't blame you for not wanting to stay alone in that house. Today, I was at my grandmother's house. I had been house sitting with my own kids. I went to work from 9 to 1, and I got a call from my son. He was frantic. He told me he heard banging in the kitchen. When he went to the kitchen, he noticed the cabinets were open. He closed them and then went back to lay in the den with his sister. Again, he heard the cabinets banging open and closed. He got up again and noticed this time even the drawers were open. He said at first he didn't know what was happening until he saw the drawers opened again. He started getting nervous and called me. And while we talked, I heard the banging happening in the kitchen again. He got off the call and then the activities started happening down the hallway, going into the bedrooms. The doors slammed shut. In the pantry-like closet at the end of the hallway had cabinets slam open and close. My son called me again. I told him I would leave work, and in the meantime, I'd have his grandpa go get him and his sister, or at least keep them company until I was able to get there. I told him to remain calm and to just stay with his sister and not to interact with it anymore. I told him not to record, and I told him not to talk to it. I got there, and thankfully it was calm, but both kids were scared and shaken up by it all. It's important to note that my grandma has dementia and is currently living away from her house. I'm not so sure if this is happening because she's away or if it's because I told myself everything was fine. I feel bad for subjecting my kids to this unintentionally. Damn, I'm surprised your kids were even brave enough to stay in the house with all of that activity going on. I don't think I could have at their age. I don't know if your grandma's husband is causing this or if whoever it is acting up because your grandma isn't living there anymore. It is possible that it is, but I could also see it feeding off y'all's fear. If you've heard my past episodes, you probably know what I'm going to say. I think it's time to cleanse the house. Whether it's her husband or something else, they need to calm down. I wouldn't even be surprised if her husband's abusive behavior and just all around negativity he brought to the house brought something as well. It could even be using him as a puppet. But whatever it is, the house needs cleansing. It needs all that energy wiped from that place. It might help make things feel a little lighter. Alright, let us get on to our next story. What spirit is visiting my dad? Could it be my mom? Hi everyone. My dad has suddenly started to experience some very weird situations in my childhood home for a couple of months now. To give some backstory, my mom and my dad had this house built back in the mid 80s on some inherited land that had been in the family for decades. I am 29 now, and I have lived there ever since I was brought home from the hospital until I was 20 years old when I moved out. This is my childhood home, and I can say I've never once experienced anything unusual. My mom got breast cancer at a younger age than usual and was sick for many years and was sent home with hospice and actually died in my childhood bedroom. This was in 2017. So 9 years ago, my mother died in that home. Suddenly, there has been some unexplainable things happening. I will point out that my dad is now the only person living in the home. I've moved out and my mom has died. My dad lives alone. He is 59 and enjoys various hobbies and keeps busy during the day. First thing he noticed was once he was sitting on the couch and started hearing shuffling around like toys were being scrambled around my old bedroom. My children have a lot of toys in my old bedroom, and that's where they play when they come over to visit my dad. My dad said, "It sounds like when the kids are in the room, playing and tossing toys around. He jumps up to investigate the noise coming from the bedroom, and the noise stops, and he doesn't see anything unusual, so he thinks nothing of it. Second, there is a large picture of myself as a child hanging at the end of the hallway that had been there for years. My dad hears a crash, and the picture has fallen off the wall. My dad said his first reaction was, I guess the hook finally gave in. It's been hanging up there for years. He goes to check the hook, thinking it needs replaced, and the hook and everything is still perfectly intact. He hangs the picture back up, no problem. I will say this is a large photo of me. Dude, do all parents that only have one child do this? Because my parents had a huge picture of me too. It always bothered me to have such a large picture of myself as a 4-year-old just hanging in our living room. It should not have easily fell. And like I said, it's been hanging there for at least 20-ish years. So there is no explanation why this large picture frame fell off the wall. Third and strangest thing is, my dad usually keeps his mountain bike inside the house. He leans the bicycle sideways across the chair to the kitchen table. He's in the process of putting new parts on the bike. He was asleep in the dead of night and hears a crash. He gets up to investigate, and the chair and the bicycle are both laying on the floor. The chair is on top of the bicycle. The bicycle was originally leaned against the chair, so whatever knocked it over must have pushed it from the chair, for the chair to have fallen and was on top of the bicycle. My dad jokes that he must have pissed my mom off, or maybe she's just trying to get his attention. I have always been fascinated of paranormal things, and I used to love watching Ghost Adventures and Paranormal Caught on Camera back when I had cable. Oh, same. I always loved watching Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and so many more. I was so scared of it all, and yet I was so fascinated with it. And this is the first time I've ever heard of weird things happening to someone I actually know. It's truly unbelievable to me. I'm shocked. This is something I've only ever seen on TV or hear on the internet. It really is something different to have the paranormal happen to you or someone close to you than having it happen to someone you don't know on the TV or the internet, isn't it? I am really spooked for him and thought maybe I could burn some sage in his house. I mean, if it is my mom's spirit, wonder why after 9 years she is suddenly showing her presence. He doesn't seem scared, but I am really spooked for him. I asked him if it's scaring him, and he said no. I think he thinks it's my mom. Should I get some cameras? What could I do to figure this out or get to the bottom of it? Any advice? A lot of people suggest my dad was lonely and was doing this maybe to get my attention. My dad has expressed to me that he has no plans on getting remarried and says he can spend his money on dirt bikes and motorcycles and anything he wants now. And I asked if he wanted a dog, and he said, hell no, they're too expensive. My dad is basically enjoying the rest of his life, getting to do things he enjoys on a daily basis, and being with his grandchildren. I do not think whatsoever my dad would make any of this up for attention. He is only 59, so he isn't extremely old and senile. I also noticed people said that he could have a rodent, but he says he sees no rodent droppings or any evidence of a rodent. What do you all think? Some suggest a child spirit mimicking things his grandchildren do, hence the shuffling of toys and knocking things over. What and why would a random child spirit be there? Or could it be my mom? Why would she be knocking my picture off the wall? I need thoughts and ideas, please. I've always hoped to see a sign of my mom, but others said that it's been 9 years since my mom died, so she's at peace and her soul isn't wandering. But why would a child spirit be there? If anyone has any actual experience with this, or even studies the paranormal, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Please help. Damn, that was kind of a lot at the end. I can almost feel the excitement and a bit of fear coming from the end of this, which, again, I get it. It being your first time, it can all be a lot. But I think you need to take a breath, slow down, and most importantly, listen to your dad. He's the one that's living there. And if he's not feeling fearful of it all, trust him. Also, I don't understand why people said it can't be your mom just because it's been 9 years. Is she at peace? Yes. Can she still come around and make her presence known? Also, yes. Our loved ones come to visit all the time, and some will try to get your attention for whatever reason they have. I could be wrong, but between the feeling I get about your mom and what your dad said, like she wants to let him know she sees him buying dirt bikes and that she doesn't like it. That she just wants him to be careful and safe. Maybe she disapproved in life and still does in death. Again, I don't know if your mom was like that for sure. It's just the first thing that came to my mind while reading this. Oh, also, don't worry about cleansing. I mean, you can if you like, but don't do it just because you're scared of what's going on. There doesn't seem to be anything that is bad or evil. So if that's your only reason for wanting to do a cleansing, just let your mom be. Another thing, while it's possible a child spirit could have decided to come play with your kids' toys, I really do believe all of this is your mom. Don't tell me you don't sometimes play with your kids' toys because you just wanted to. Or she's just trying to see how they work. Maybe she's just trying to be a good grandma and make sure the toys are good enough for her grandbabies. Whatever her reason for her actions, try not to freak out. She seems like she just came in to check to make sure her husband, child, and grandchildren are doing okay. Maybe she found something she didn't really approve of. So she made a point to let herself be heard in the only way she could. But let's leave this childhood home and go to the workplace. I know. What a better way to relax than to be reminded of work for our last story. It's called Ghost at Work. Got coworkers you can't see? I actually do. She came back around just before Halloween and was messing with our handhelds. At least she didn't throw them this time. Sorry, this isn't about me, but they asked. How many of us have experienced something creepy at work? Tell us your scariest work story and whether you thought it was a ghost for real. Maybe I'll talk about my department's ghost for real some other time. Not that there is a lot to tell. My work story, also posted in another thread. I used to have a photo studio on a busy street in a historic building. I experienced things nearly every day. I'm not surprised working in a historic building. It was a super busy studio for babies and kids. Plus, I did kids' birthday parties. I painted the walls bright colors It made it look festive, but there was always a creepy feeling. After customers go home, I'm there with my assistant, or maybe by myself cleaning and setting up. I would be in the back mopping and hear the front door open, bell ring, and someone come in. I go up front and no one is there. If I was in the front at my desk, I would hear things moving around in the back. No one was ever there. One time, I came back from a 2-week vacation and heard children laughing in the empty birthday party room. Over the years, I had 7 different assistants. 3 of them had scary incidents happen when they were alone and would not be there alone after that. I never told these 3 about my experiences until after, because I didn't want to scare them. Several customers got creepy vibes they reported. To me, it felt like someone standing behind me watching at the time. It was very unnerving. I had to move my desk so my back was to the wall. I finally moved to a different building and nothing happened there. I was so relieved. I would love to know what was there before. Was it a home or a business that worked with kids like you do? Whatever it is, I do think there is some children there that might have liked what you did with the place. They seem to be being kids and playing around. I do understand the feeling of being watched can be very unnerving. Even when you have it happen a lot, it's a hard thing to ever get used to. All you can do is tell them you don't like it and hope they listen. Probably a little harder when it comes to the kid spirits, I'm sure. Though, I guess you don't have to worry about that anymore. At least you know it was the building and not you. Hopefully you can keep an assistant now. Well, that's all the stories I have for you today. Do you feel relaxed now? After all, how could you not after hearing about all these ghosts slamming cabinet doors, flipping chairs on top of bikes, and unseen beings watching over you like a micromanager that can't let you just do your job? We're all just so relaxed now, right? I do hope you all are doing okay during this time of year. I know this can be a hard time for people, and I wish you all have a easy holiday season, whatever it might look like, with people that truly care about you. If nothing else, know that I care about you and you are loved. But for now, the covenant's adjourned. See you next time. Bye.